Hello, thank you very much for joining us. This is Platform. I'm Ruth Aguela. Now, throughout history, good accounting practices have powered nations. Of course, you know, poor accounting and misuse of public funds has led to financial chaos. In emerging economies like Nigeria, strong public financial management is very crucial. Now, if reforms must happen, then accounts must be in check. So how can Nigeria ensure better service delivery, transparency, and accountability? Now, this is where the professionalism of an accountant come to play. The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, INAN, is one of the two professional accountancy associations with regulatory authority in Nigeria and ensures due certification of accountants as professionals in the country. Founded in 1979 and was incorporated in 1983, the association was chartered on 25th August 1993 by Decree 76 of 1993. Now, the need for accounting in response to the desire to make judicious use of scarce resources, accumulate wealth, and produce high quality of goods and services in a competitive economy is mandatory. So how well have INAN been able to play its role in ensuring professional accountants being churned out in the system for economic viability? And what is the future of accounting practice in Nigeria for sustainable growth? Our focus on Platform today is the role of accountancy in the management of scarce resources, and our guest is the President, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, Professor Benjamin Chuka Osisioma. Thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you very much and welcome, viewers.
All right, I'll take you through a bit of Prof's profile. He is also the chairman of Council Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, a professor of accountancy, and holds a PhD degree in finance. He's an alumnus of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He's a fellow, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, amongst many professional bodies. He has served INAN on different positions, including the Director General at the Nigerian College of Accountancy, that was from 1997 to 2001, Chairman INAN Think Tank 2007 to 2014, and a member Governing Council and Vice President of INAN. He also served as National President, Nigeria Accounting Association from 2013 to 2016, and member Board of Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria from 2013 to 2016. Professor Osisioma has initiated and supervised over 40 doctoral research studies and examined 44 orders, out of which 45 have been elevated to the rank of professor in accounting and related disciplines. He has authored no less than 19 books and monographs, 150 conference, seminar, workshop papers at national and international levels. He has numerous awards to his credit for integrity, academic excellence, and outstanding leadership. He's listed in the directory of outstanding 2,000 intellectuals of the 21st century by the International Biographical Centre, Cambridge, England. I think we should stop there because Prof is just a man of different sides. Thank you very much for joining us once again. All right, let's also introduce our panelists. Benny Adams, the businessman in NTA. Thank you very much, Benny, for joining us on Platform.
Thank you for having me, Ruth. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
All right, Prof, we're looking at the role of accountancy when we're talking about the management, of scarce resources in Nigeria. You are a certified accountant for so many years. You've been in the practice. If you want to use a telescope to look at Nigeria, what would you say in terms of accountancy practice in the country? Have we really done as we ought to have done?
Thank you very much. I must say it's a very interesting question. Have we done what we ought to have done? Or have we left undone those things we ought to have done? There is no doubt in my mind that we have come a long way. When you look at the African region, Nigeria is a star.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. One of the few countries in Africa that we boast of two professional bodies that have reckoning with Pan-African Federation of Accountants. And when you look at the level of sophistication we have attained within the profession, particularly from an African setting, you'll say that easily we have it done. But you and I know that perfection is an ideal we hardly ever get to. We keep striving to get there. We keep striving to get there. And knowing us for who we are and how we act, you know that even the accountant can be an endangered species.
Of course.
Because if you have a boss and you're always pointing out to the boss, because the primary role of the accountant is to report. Just like your job here in broadcasting house is to put out the facts the way they are.
Yes.
People may not like the facts the way you put them out, and you become an enemy. It's the same for the accountant. Our duty is to report. And I've told people, I said, oftentimes we can correct things by just reporting them the way they are. Somebody comes out at the beginning of the year and gives us a beautiful budget. And they say budget of hope, budget of promise. At the end of the year, somebody should put out another report. And let's see how much we realized of that promise, of that hope. Just putting out the facts the way they are. Enable people to judge. And somebody comes to run for election and he tells you wonderful things he will do. Keep tab of all his promises. At the end of the day, bring you a report card. How has he succeeded? So our duty is to report. And we can never ever say that we have exhausted all the avenues for excellent reporting. We'll keep working at it. We've come some way. Before we didn't have a financial reporting council. We now have it.
Okay.
Regulating the way we report, making sure that certain things are done right. Assurance services are kept according to best practices, global best practices. And then the principles that we're going to apply, the international financial reporting reporting statements, make sure that you follow the well-defined principles. Because it's not just a matter of saying report it the way you like. For example, now we belong to the accountancy bodies of West Africa. We have a congress coming up. Somebody comes from Nigeria, another one from Ghana, another one from Ivory Coast, another one from Senegal. How do you compare the financial statements that you put out? Are they based upon similar principles so that there will be uniformity in judgment, comparability in assessment?
Okay, Prof.
So what I'm saying in effect is that these are the things that help us to make sure that we do the right thing. We have come a long way, but we still have some way
Okay,
to
just
go.
a follow-up question before Benny comes in. Objectivity and sincerity. These are two key words an accountant must always have. And
Yes.
without professionalism, there won't be productivity. Yearly, you churn out accountants. Would you say, is it just for value addition or just to fulfill paperwork to ensure that, okay, you have moved as an accountant, you have moved to the next level? What is the level of competence of the accountants you're churning out?
Well, I would say that we are. You see, I wish I could give you just an index that assesses it all and says that's where we are. But this is an ongoing project. We aim at producing the best we can produce. They come out from the universities, from the polytechnics, armed with some knowledge. And we say knowledge is not enough. You need skills for it to become competency.
Yes.
So knowledge, skill, competency comes in. Then beyond that, we also introduce the ethical dimension, which we call the ultimate test of professionalism, to make sure that this individual realizes that he has a public trust, a social contract with the public. There is something the public expects of us. And if we fail, then we have failed totally. Yes. So we are bringing out people who will have their eyes set on the public and make sure they serve the better interests of the public. I'm not just saying playing to the gallery so that they will regard you as a good person, but doing things that need to be done. But I must say that we have a problem. Our problem is not just a matter of leadership, it's also a matter of followership. Are the people ready for the truth? At times you tell the truth and you don't have anybody backing you up. That's one of the things we do in the profession. We make sure we back our members who stand for the truth. If they take a risk on the truth, we back them up. And if it requires somebody takes them to court, we follow them to the court. We're not afraid of the courts. So we want to raise accountants that are very competent, that are very ethical, that are diligent, that are disciplined, people who will not be an albatross on the neck of the nation, but people who will add value to wherever they come to. And that's what we are driving towards.
Okay, Prof, looking at skills acquisition and transfer of knowledge for the accountant from the school, from that point of study to the accountant in practice, how have you been able to ensure that the skills acquired are actually applied in real life? And we also have issues of accountancy being practiced differently in the way you get what you get in the public sector is different from what you get in the private sector. More like, have there been this transition? Where is the place of innovation in all of this?
Well, I think you have now the barbarian question. Let me, if I miss out the first one, you just call me back.
Okay.
Well, definitely the public-private domains, they are slightly different. Take an example. If you're in the public domain, nobody's talking about profit and loss. We're talking about beneficial service. We don't expect you. If a government comes and says we traded with your tax and we made a little profit, we're not impressed. What we're interested in are the routes motorable. Is light on? Do we have buildings, housing for the poor? These are the things we're looking at. And that's where we judge governments. But if it's the private sector, we don't look at profit. But you see, we are now coming to an era. We talk about triple bottom line accounting. We talk about sustainable development. We no longer talk about profit and, we said profit, people, planet. We want a development that is, holistic, covers every area, so that you don't just pursue one course. So when you look at what is happening in the public domain now, there is a growing convergence between public and private sectors. Because what you have in the private sector is primarily the IFRS, released by the IFAC. That's the rule, that's the direction. It gives us direction on what to do in the private sector. Then we have in the public sector the IPSAS. The IPSAS is actually an attempt to apply basic IFRS to public sector establishments. That's why we call it the accruals option. What prevails in the private sector is brought into the public sector. There's a growing convergence. And we have discovered that public sector does better if we use private sector rules to judge them.
Why?
Because private sector will want to extract every possible benefit from every naira of expenditure. But in the public sector, once you are well positioned, nobody sacks you. You do what you do, and you turn in a very bad report. You still get your promotion. You still keep going up, and so we are where we are. So we discovered that when you merge the two, you get better service, better effort for whatever we do. So there's a great conversion, but there's an earlier issue you raised, which I think I missed out on.
Yes, that we were talking about in real practice of the accountant. How would you assess knowledge, skills acquired to practical application in work areas?
You see, the accountant, when accounting started, it was purely apprenticeship thing. Just like you didn't need to go to school. All you needed to do was to understudy a master and learn the skills as he's doing it. And that's how most of the professional body started. But we have grown to a point where there's a body of knowledge. Bring it into the university or polytechnic, learn it, get the knowledge, fill your head with the knowledge. Then when you come out, you begin to learn how to apply the knowledge with the requisite skills. And we have a college of accountancy. And one of the things we are doing in that college of accountancy, we bring professionals in the field. But there's a week, they will just come and camp at the college. Monday, somebody will come with papers with which he goes for tax returns and teach them how to file tax returns, how to do this. Tuesday, somebody comes with different practitioners in different areas. Will come and stay with them, spend time with them, so that they see the practical things and learn that at times not all the theory we learn, that's not the way we put it out in the real world. Practice. Yes, you need some skills to communicate these things, and we labor hard at it. they just concluded MCPD we held here in Abuja. We tried to launch our digital hub, and part of it is going through the hub. There is nothing you don't find there. The practitioner will see templates that will enable him carry out his work in practice. You want to file returns, there's a template for that. You want to audit, there's a template. Things like that to help you do your job well. And the student also will see manual, e-books and manuals and modules to study. So we see a merging. We usually say we talk about town and gown. We like marrying the two together. That's our joy.
And it brings me to digital accountancy, which is where you are right now.
Yes.
You talked about, in your words, reskim, reshape, readjust.
Yes.
If the accountant must meet up to best global practices, tell us about the hub.
Well, you see, the hub is a one-stop house for knowledge, for skills, for competencies, for everything you need to be a thoroughbred accountant, particularly in this digital age. I like the way Professor Adebayo put it at his presentation. He said this era is regarded as the era of digital Darwinism. Darwin with the evolution and all those things. So this is the era where the digital tool is the critical factor. So what we have there is a multifarious assemblage of tools and skills and appliances and things to help the accountant function. And you see, once you get into that domain, we don't make any assumption that you don't have to be a great expert. All you need to do is know how to access what is available. We are even providing how to teach our students at the college. When I was coming in as the current president, I threw a challenge to the college. I said, so refine the digital tool that we can increase our student population to over 10,000, so that people can learn in the comfort of their houses, write exams in the comfort of their homes. When we were thinking of this a couple of years ago, it seemed far-fetched. We were discussing with the CPA Ireland, and they were telling us how they have so used the digital tool to conduct exams. So I said, please, wait, refine this one. How do you supervise and invigilate when you're not there? He said, that one is even easier. There's a software for it. When the student looks too far away from the screen, you say, the computer will warn you. You've done this first time, you've done this second time, the third time, you'll be shut down. And the result will come out. And somehow, once the time to start comes, it comes on. When the time is over, it switches off. So it's self-regulatory. And it's bringing us to a new domain. And we learn to... maybe the answer to a lot of things we've been contending with as a nation. Exam malpractice and things like...
Okay, aside the exam malpractice angle of it, is the digital hub, it has brought in efficiency in the way accountancy practice should go. How would that go in helping reshape our economy and make it better, more so in this period of a global recovery?
You see, what the entire thing is to drive efficiency, to drive knowledge, to bring competency within the reach of the ordinary professional. The more people grab this and run with it, the better the system will be. So it's not as if once you have a digital hub, oil will start flowing at the filling station. No, but people who learn from it can apply those principles at their place of work. You may not be an accountant, but there's a principle underlying the digital hub that can still make your work as a broadcaster better. You go to a one-stop place where you get a lot of knowledge. Somebody said that this is the Google mentality generation. We are going beyond the Google mentality generation. People now talk about the fourth industrial revolution. The first one has passed us by, second one, third one, we're now in the fourth one. And some of us are not even aware that there's a fourth industrial revolution, where a lot of things are coming in to take over what human beings do. So these are some of the things we can build on. At the last PAFA conference we had at Maputo, Mozambique, that was what the Congress was on. fourth industrial revolution. Where is Africa in it all? We have a design, Africa by 2063. Where are we now? How are we poised to build on these things? So we're hoping that this type of thing will bring us into the mainline of the development, so it will not be left behind. Nobody's waiting for us.
Because, Prof, you're right. We have emerging technologies, and it's not about theory but practice. And the goal is to ensure advancement of accounting practice, both in the public and private sector. If you're looking at high standard quality of accounting practice in Nigeria, it's one thing to have these accountants, having the capacity and the requisite skills, and it's another thing to have the right environment for professional bodies to thrive. How do you create a balance?
You see, Rome was not built in a day. These things take time. It's an ongoing challenge. At times you discover that you dream the best dreams, make the best plans, and somehow the conditions on the ground frustrate you. I don't want to go into a lot of stories, but I remember when I graduated and entered into the public workplace. The first place I worked as if with the fervency of youth, with that innocence of mind, poured myself into the work and tilted the balance. We were about 6 accountants at that point in time. Made such an impact. And the chief accountant said, "This is wonderful. Upgrade them, promote them." And somebody said, "Here, no promotion, they must stay where they are for 3 years." They talked to the man, said, "Okay, at least give them increments of, some increment to encourage them." They said, "No, they must wait for 1 year, one step." I suddenly said, "Is this what I signed on for? Is this what I am said?" The situation immediately diffused me, all the enthusiasm with which I came in. I felt so flustered and frustrated.
But you didn't give up.
I left that establishment. I knew immediately I couldn't stay there again.
I'm talking about in the practice.
So, but what I'm saying, I'm just giving you an example.
Come with motivation.
Oh, okay.
I'm just giving you an example that the system can become frustrating.
Yes.
But having come to this challenge, our duty is to, we may not be able to change the entire Nigerian system, but I have my table to begin with. I will begin to change the way I work from my table.
Sure.
I will apply those principles I have learned, those ethics I have learned, all those basic convictions. If you come across my table, I will let you know that this is my belief. There was one, please, I don't know whether I tell too much stories, but one lady was carrying out a research for a project, and she went to a library. I met this librarian who said, "What are you studying on?" She said, "Okay, sit down here." And went inside the library and came back. What areas of publication? What and brought. Assembled all that she needed and gave her. I said, "Now go down there, photocopy the ones you need, and bring back. I will document them." The lady turned and looked at the man. "Did you know me before?" He said, "No." "So why are you doing all these things for me?" He said, I'm a Christian. I have a conviction. And I've decided that anybody who crosses my table will know my convictions. I think that's the only way we can build this thing.
Sure.
There is too much talk and too
Something
little action.
Sure.
Men say they have integrity. Men boast about what they can or cannot do. Give them a little power and you discover that it's all puff of the wind. So let's begin where we are. Do the little we can and see how it will impact on the overall society.
Ruth, Anani's got a university.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's a year
College of
old or
Accountancy.
2 years old, being upgraded
A year old now.
to a year old now to a university. Now we are seeing this digital hub coming on board. What other innovations should we expect from this university?
Yes, thank you very much. Anan is, like I said a couple of days ago, we are not pretending to be inventing the wheel. We know that there are people, somebody said, if I can see verify it is because I'm standing on the shoulders of those who went before me. We are building on what they have produced and we are trying to break through in order to make our impact in our world. We have a university that, because of the approval we were given, we are told to concentrate on postgraduate training. So we encourage professionals. When you have your professional work, come also get academic backing. There's nothing like a convergence of academic and professionalism. It's a
good mix.
It's a good mix. And it makes you thoroughbred. Like I usually say, elsewhere, theory is the basis for practice. In Nigeria, we scorn theory. When you talk to them, I better go, this one all theory. Meanwhile, you cannot have good practice if you don't have a good basic theory.
Yes.
So the idea is to raise, when the professionals come, build in excellence, there. And we are working on that. We have other ways of the business school, certificated training, where you reach people in different areas, like National Assembly people, like those in government, those in different ministries who want to further their education, who want to improve their academic standing. Provide them that opportunity. You see, there's something the academic work does to us. It gives you an inquiring mind. It gives you a desire to find out.
Yes.
It gives you a desire for excellence. So that whatever you're doing, you can do better.
True.
So that's what we are concentrating on doing. We are coming on. We have a young set of people who are driving this vision, and they're doing very well at it.
What about the curriculum restructure? Some experts are of the opinion that it should be restructured to move away from the stereotypes that has been there. I'm sure this digital hub, it's also part of the new invention.
You're very right. We are a little bit suspicious of these stereotypes.
Okay.
That's why if you come there, you won't see only the normal, do you have MSc in accounting? We now discover that you can break it down. For example, you can have a certificate in fingerprinting.
Okay.
In recovery of data from child documents.
Interesting.
Little breaking it down.
Okay.
Instead of waiting for the entire thing, where you get BSc, this MSc, that you now break it down and risk management, little things within the under, and you discover that somebody may come. This is his area of interest. No, that's one of the things about the American system. Enable you come and drive in and get what you want, and we want to do that. I'm very satisfied with, incidentally, I'm the pro-chancellor of that university,
Wow.
chairman of the governing council, and we're encouraging them to drive a new agenda for the entire thing. Cut through the normal bureaucracy, the stereotypes, and go on and chart a new course. Let people come out armed with not just the paper qualification, but the skills.
I have an interest, Prof. Forensic accounting.
Is
Are
there?
you considering?
I thought he wanted to say I have an interest in accounting. Okay.
Forensic accounting. In this era where we are managing scarce resources, there are a lot of loopholes. Government is trying to block leakages. Let's see from the little resources we have, make the best use of them. But yet you find some of this, there are drain pipes that these resources go through. For forensic accounting, what are we doing to empower the skills of accountants to actually trace from where these things are coming from, where they are going to, and possibly recovery?
Thank you very much. In fact, as far back as 2011, Annan put together Society for Forensic Accounting and Fraud Prevention.
Okay.
And again, it has gone on. Right now, it has metamorphosed into Chartered Institute of Forensics. And what I just mentioned is what they're actually doing now. They have broken up the entire field of forensic accounting into sub-courses that you can take a certificate course in this one and be armed with it. When we started it, it was a little bit unique, because what we were seeing before then, people will come and, research, go to the computer, carry out a research, write a paper and deliver it, and they say you're a fellow of the forensic accounting. and they hardly know what forensic accounting is all about. Now, we decided to create a forensic toolkits laboratory in Jos. We took a normal computer lab, and one of our experts reconfigured and brought in forensic software into them, so we can now use it for doing certain things. We brought in a retired top policeman who was into fingerprinting and all those things in the force in those days, and he came and began to teach these things. We brought a professor from US who came and taught them thinking like a thief.
Wow.
I said the only way you can catch a thief is when you think like a thief.
Of course.
So by the time we finished the first set, it was such an imposing, a great success. But of course, you know the issue now. A lot of things entered into it. We needed a lot of funds to back it up, and so it's been dragging. And that's what right now, the successor to that original plan has received final reading in the Senate. They want to make it a full institute. So these are areas that you also can go into. You don't need to do even accounting. We have forensic accounting and fraud management. And for you to be a forensic accountant, you must be first an accountant. But for you to be a fraud manager, you don't need to be an accountant.
Yeah.
And there are lots of things that you need to do that the accountant also needs to learn from. So these are some of the things we are trying to do. We know that we cannot do everything at the same time, but we think we owe it to the Nigerian nation to make this nation better, to build it up, to add value to the different aspects of the life of the ordinary Nigerian. So
And
we're working on it.
which can only be sustained when corruption is swept away. Because your practice is something very, very crucial. Perhaps you know where I'm coming to. I know there are penalties to misconduct.
Yes.
And there is code of conduct, which every accountant must adhere to. If your role as an accountant is to keep checks and balances and ensure that the reports
This is anytime we accountants talk, I don't question them about corruption. They've not touched the real nerve, real nerve of the matter, because it's not possible to have corruption without the backing of an accountant. Yes, he holds the records.
Yes.
He supervises the inflow and outflow. That's why if a principal of a school wants to embezzle funds, he will make friends with the bursar. That's why he begins. Because you need to work with somebody who will cover your tracks. And it's a challenge for us. I think I was trying to quote Warren Buffett a few days ago, who said that 3 things are required in every human being. He said intelligence, then the diligence, and then integrity.
Yes.
And then he said, if the last integrity is not there, forget about the 2 other ones.
True.
Because if the man does not have integrity, but is intelligent, he's a clever rogue. And he will destroy. No matter how efficient he proves to be,
Sure.
it will ultimately destroy, because he doesn't have integrity. And integrity is something you cannot force on anybody. It's a character issue. Somebody said talent is a gift, but character is a choice. You make a choice that you don't want to go this way, you want to go this way.
Yes.
And funny enough, you would think that if we went to church or we went to the mosque, everybody there would have integrity. It's not true. In fact, at times they are more disappointing than any other place. We need to come to the point where the rules cannot completely obliterate fraud, but we try. In fact, one of the projects we have this year, we are putting together an international fraud summit, and we want to involve everybody who is anybody. And we are bringing in, if you know him, Professor Lumumba from Kenya. Yes,
the lion.
Powerful, the lion. I like that.
Yeah.
And the man is indeed a lion. People who have spoken with, very, with brutal frankness against, because they're not wicked. They're just telling you what needs to be done. At times you tell the truth and then you become a target. So what we do is we have strict code of ethics. We have strict requirements. And if you infringe those rules, and we get to here, we have the law. Our law also requires that we set up a tribunal. We first of all investigate. Once the investigation is over and we are convinced that there's a possibility of a crime, we set up our tribunal. And the law gives our tribunal the authority of a high court over our members.
Wow.
They pass verdict. In fact, the only way you can overturn the verdict of our tribunal is to go to court of appeal. You can't go to a high court because they are concurrent jurisdiction.
What's the penalty?
Anything. We can expel you. We can hand you over to the police for further prosecution if it becomes necessary, and things like that. And of course, doing Nigerians, that's one of the funny things about us. Somebody is in the wrong, yet he's very bold. Somebody just took us to court. I don't want to give the details before it's sub judice.
Yes.
So, but you are definitely in the wrong. And ordinarily, you should be ashamed that your name is involved in this kind of thing, yet you take us to court. So, but what do? We must face up to it and let them know that we don't want to go to court. We don't want to air our dirty linens in the public, but we are ready to stand for what we believe in.
It's all about attitudinal change, Prof.
Exactly.
And if corruption, and if there's corruption and if inefficiency in funds management, of course there's financial failure. Let's put a searchlight on Nigeria's financial management. In as much as you want to be firm in your response, put into consideration our scarce resources. What are your thoughts?
Well, one of the things we learn in economics is that in every society, in every human arrangement, there's always scarcity of resources that are worthy of the name. If vital resources are not scarce, if you could pick naira along the road and pluck them from trees, then there will be no. But once these things are scarce, we're very careful about handling of them. And once resources are scarce, we face the issue of choice, prioritization. Where do I put this? Where do I go with this? Because they are scarce, we cannot afford to cover all the grounds that we need to cover.
Yes.
So we ask ourselves, which one do we choose? And that's where I think it is the duty of the accountant to show you. We need to pay more attention to certain areas. Let me give an example.
Okay.
We had these Millennium Development Goals that United Nations started with. Then it graduated to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Which we are on.
Yes. What are they addressing? Basic issues of life. Housing, food, accommodation. Things that are, ordinary to our life. To what extent have we made an attempt to provide these things for our people? Can government look back incidentally? During the MDG days, I had a governor in Anambra State in those days who applied himself so diligently to this that the world body could say that it's the state that had the best performance in that area. Address yourself to this issue of poverty. There's no reason why people in Nigeria will not find food to eat. We are a rich country, rich by any standards. Even in our austerity, we are richer than most West African countries. Yeah. So what are we doing with these things? So these are some of the things we should use wisely, use with good economic judgment, use in a matter of balancing, do I go here or do I go there? Use in enabling every area leverage on their strengths to make the society better.
Yes.
For example, you know that in this issue of poverty, some areas are richer than others. The rich areas, what do we do to make them to contribute more to the central money? Those who are not able to contribute, what do we do so that we don't allow them to lie down wallow in their poverty and let others carry their burden?
Revenue mobilization.
You must find a way of balancing these things. And you've already mentioned another area that the accountant comes in, revenue mobilization. We look at what we have is like a cake that has been well baked. Tell us how to divide it, so no part will be left out. A certain proportion will be given equally to everybody who belongs to the federation. Another quantity, you look at what you're able to raise, and we give you according to what you're able to raise. Another one, according to your area of need. There are formula for distributing these things. Let's put them all to task.
It's all about planning.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's all about planning. Benny, you want?
Okay, Prof, you've said so much about what you're trying to do to improve this accountancy practice. With the institution that has been there, that has been upgraded to university, is a year on. Any collaborations with partners out there where best practices can actually be brought to bear in your journey to ensuring that you get accountants in Nigeria to move with the trends?
Well, thank you very much. We actually have international linkages and affiliations. It's grown. I think the first one we ever had was the one we had with the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants Global. We signed an MOU with them in Rome, 2014. That same year, we also signed one with an MRA, Mutual Recognition Agreement, with the Certified Public Accountants of Ireland. And since then, it's been going on and on. We have the Institute of Professional Accountants in Australia and Certified Public Accountants of Australia. We have an understanding with, we have had collaborations with ACCA. We have had with even measure of discussions and agreement with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We have worked on we have groups elsewhere. They get to know what you're doing, and you learn from them, and they learn from you. Like when we were interacting with the Indian firm, we discovered that there were certain things they had fashioned from the writings of their members. And these are things that could challenge us to even be more productive in what we are doing. We borrow a leaf from there. And we learned, I remember when we were at Kenya, we went for a Pan-African Federation meeting. We saw a university set up by a Kenyan professional body. But unlike our own, they built this university and handed over to government to run. Because they couldn't run it. Probably they couldn't run it themselves. We set up the body and we are running it at our own expense.
Talking about running this institution at your own expense, running such institutions is capital intensive. How are you going about that?
That's the issue. If you get to Kwal, next to Jos, you'll be surprised at what you see on the countryside there. Billions of naira over time sunk into the place. We just took Governor Solomon La of blessed memory, made sure that we had this large expanse of land in Basaloko government area. 148 hectares of land, virgin land. I remember the very first, when I was Director General, then we went there for the first time. It was a canopy that we put to have our first convocation. If you go there now, you'll be surprised. Roads have been built, houses have been built, police posts. We even built a market for the local community because the chief said, I want development to come to my people. That's why I'm welcoming you. And if you'll be surprised at how much we have put in that place, yet we have no support from government on that.
How have you managed to do
Just
that?
the money we raise from our members.
Okay.
We contribute money. We have this gigantic office block we had in Lagos. How many floors? Five floors or 4 floors. Over 300 million then, again from our resources. Where we are in Abuja here, a building of 5 floors. We acquired this from our resources. We are now having MCPD, Mandatory Continuing Professional Development. People pay. And from the payments, we do these things. That's why we tell people, put in your money into some good work. So that you look at it and you see what we have been. Right now, we have started, because we have a new university, we are building a new office complex at the permanent site. A gigantic of 3 floors there at Kwal with 2 lifts. to operate in that building. So it's not a small building by any standards.
Okay,
and we are putting in our funds. We raise the funds, we put them in there, and it's from the contribution of members. That's how we build these things.
It's good you're seeing the result of your hard work. So, what would you consider the major challenge of accountants in Nigeria, looking at the persons now, and how are bodies like yours assisting them?
Well, first of all, I think that accountants in Nigeria need to be careful of something. You know, when we initially, if we look at the history of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria was a lone professional body, had a monopoly, 1965, and that monopoly subsisted till 1993 when Annan was chartered. If care is not taken, we will be competing against each other instead of cooperating to build a profession. I said it once to our members. I said, if Annan and ICANN will put their acts together and work for the discipline, not just for individual organizations, we will rule not just Africa, but the global profession.
Sorry to cut you, Prof. What's the difference between these two bodies? Chartered and non-chartered? We have Annan professionals.
Both
they are chartered.
Yes,
both
They are
of them are
chartered. So for a layman out there, what would you spot as the difference and the need for unity?
I'm not even talking of unity really now. I'm talking of not competing against each other. We can cooperate.
Teamwork.
Well, ICANN was the one that started, like I said, way back, 1965. That's when it received a charter. And ran the way it ran. I don't want to say much because I don't want it to seem as if I'm criticizing a sister professional body. But a lot of people were not satisfied with the way things were going. And so they set out to establish an alternative body. And that was how in 1979, January 1, front news item, 2-page publication in Daily Times announcing the formation of a new professional body. That was the beginning of Annan.
Wow.
Then Annan started in 1979, got registered 1983, got chartered 1993. And so there's normally competition would start, but we don't have to compete. We have a university. ICANN has also started a university. We have a college. So far, they've not started a college, but these things don't need to be that way. We can learn from each other. We can cooperate with each other. We can work together with synergy to achieve greater results in the Nigerian economy. And I think that's what should be our primary goal. Then, when you talk about challenges that are facing the profession, we must rise up to the challenge of these times. I was reading, I think it was the Abuja Accountancy Bodies of West Africa, one of their outings. They were talking about agile professional bodies and agile accountants. I said, what was this all about? How can an accountant be agile? Or a professional body be agile? And I started studying to know what it was. And I discovered that it refers to our ability to adjust, to be resilient, to, move into new areas in order to meet the challenges of the times.
It all boils down to training and retraining if you have to keep up.
That's where I'm coming. And also to be prepared. Look at this, we're talking of fourth industrial revolution, robotics, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, three-dimensional whatever. These are all realities of the present times. We can learn from each other. We can lay hold of some information, we pass on to the other body. The other body can learn something and pass on to this one. And we do it the sky is big enough for every bird to fly.
You know, Prof, as you were just talking, something just came to my mind. Accountancy, you've just opened my mind to. I've always known it's an important profession, but how much important it is to the economy. And if you want to look at the scenario in Nigeria, how would you say that relevance has been placed to the profession, especially in the public and private sector?
Well, let me tell you the truth that accountants have not always had the respect they deserve. We've not always had that.
Briefly, Prof, for that question.
Yes,
Okay,
we've not always had the respect we deserve, because traditionally accounting is a staff function. A staff function means you have authority to advise, not authority to implement.
Okay.
We have line function, we have staff function. Accounting is traditionally a staff function. And it's easy to regard you as peripheral, not central.
Okay.
But times have changed. In these times now, we find accountants who are managing directors, who are overall chief executives in big multinationals. And so you discover that the time we've come to a time that the accountant deserves more respect.
All right.
The accountant deserves to undergo more training in leadership. More training. You see, by our nature, we are very conservative. We are supposed to be protecting your resources. If you have an accountant and every month he comes out with a new car, you will sack him. Because you suspect that your money is going down
He's
the
no
drain.
longer protecting the resources.
Okay, Prof.
That's why
Prof, we have to round up. We're out of time.
Prof,
Very briefly.
talking about managing resources, the accountant should not just manage these resources. At the time that we are in our country, being impacted by the coronavirus and rumors of war now and war perhaps, how can, as a professional, how can you advise not just government people in place of responsibility to generate revenue to run the system?
I don't know how Prof will answer that in 30 seconds.
Okay, he raised a very important issue.
Okay,
our
briefly,
duty is
Prof.
not only to manage now, but to develop. You see, the development economy is developed economy. We manage, we keep tab of how they are doing. But we must now go into the area of developing, of adding value, of creating new vistas, of showing new directions for the economy. So
All
that
right.
the economy will be we have something to manage.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Prof. I'm afraid we have to leave it there. We're out of our time.
Thank you very
Professor
much.
Benjamin Chuka Osisioma. Thank you, President Inan. We've been educated and we wish you the best. We hope that accountants do the needful. All right. Benny Adams, our businessman, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
As a special friend of Annan.
Yeah.
I'm suspecting Benny wants to become an accountant. All right, so we've been talking about the role of accountancy in the management of scarce resources. It all boils down to accountability, integrity for sustainability. That's Platform. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.